Today's conversation is on the bliss of existence being now. The bliss of existence being now. I have a saying that every now and then I suggest to myself, a form of auto-suggestion, we could say. And that is that red and blue are indigo to me, representing my relationship with God. Red and blue are indigo to me, representing my relationship with God. This is inspired by the 7 chakras, as you see it on my screen here. At the bottom, we see red, the root chakra. For me, the journey to harmonizing these chakras and bringing me to the experiential realization that I am everything that I desire to be, that I have everything that I desire, that I am bliss, that the true nature of existence is bliss now, and that any thoughts that we could say seem to suggest otherwise are unwise. And those thoughts, as we've been discussing, belong to the former self, which is not the real self. The real self is you existing now as bliss. So any thoughts that we could say don't align to your bliss, you can choose to not identify with anymore. Now, if we look at the 7 chakras here, we'll see at the bottom there's the root chakra. We'll also see the third eye. We also see the crown, and we also see the throat chakra. So again, as I mentioned, red and blue are indigo to me, representing my relationship with God. And experientially, we could say divine presence manifested more so each day with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive. Ever since this journey started for me back in 2004, from, we could say, the root chakra level, through a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It was in that book where he mentioned that if you have a burning desire to actualize or materialize money, there's nothing wrong with you. There's no need to shame or condemn your desire. And that was wonderful for me to hear, because there were particular beliefs in mine suggesting that I shouldn't do that. And those were dogmatic beliefs that suggested that if I accept desire as fulfillment, then there's something wrong with me. Or that if I experience the burning desire, which is actually, we could say, the fuel up back to God, that has been my experience, which happens to manifest, the burning desire happens to manifest as the wonderful services, the products, the creative expressions, for example, artists, entrepreneurs, wonderful relationships, that plays out as harmony, bliss actualized, on the journey to realization, we could say, practically speaking, that the bliss of existence is now. The bliss of existence is now. So in this book, he said, if you have a desire, you can transmute it into its material equivalent. And that is what I did. At that time, I was in $50,000 debt. And I applied auto-suggestion in the book. And auto-suggestions are acknowledgments of what you already have, as I always say. You already have what you desire. You found it in the form of desire. So desire means having. Now, as you acknowledge that you have what you desire through auto-suggestion, what happens is some way, somehow, it manifests. For me, it manifested in unexpected ways. I got out of $50,000 debt. I didn't know how it was going to happen, yet it happened. Because again, desire means having. Now, I listen exclusively to the desires of my heart. I listen exclusively to intuition. Throughout the years, there was, let's say, mental chatter that appeared in my mind that would suggest otherwise. That would suggest you should not experience what you desire because you would be a bad person if you experience what you desire. Like manifesting into form your inherent love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment goes against God's will, even though, as Florence Scovel Shinn said, prayer is you telephoning to God, and intuition is God telephoning to you. So practically speaking, I received the desire and accept it as fulfilled. Mark 11:24. Pray as though you have what you desire, and it is yours. So accepting the gift of desire, to experience desire as fulfillment in harmony with all, as I experienced that, what I also noticed was the harmonizing of the 7 chakras. For example, he spoke about in the book sexual transmutation. It was on the journey over the years where opportunities were presented to release identification to the dogmatic beliefs that were formed in mind, for whatever the reason may be, that was generating, let's say, disharmony between the 7 chakras. And so what ended up happening then is I experientially, over the journey, was presented through various opportunities in relationships, business, personal life, my relationships with the various tasks, projects on the journey to actualizing the visions, because not only did I get out of $50,000 debt on the journey to actualizing the vision, I also released identification to old man thinking, as we say in the Bible, putting off the former conversation. Not only was that definite chief aim actualized, I also moved up in my corporate career as another definite chief aim. So he said, set a definite chief aim. Whatever you desire, set the definite chief aim, and it happens. And it does happen. And not only does it happen, but you also build a harmonious relationship with yourself. You also purify the subconscious mind. And it was through that book where I first heard of the subconscious mind, which he says acts as a filing cabinet where beliefs and memories are stored. And what a person believes in relation to these memories seem to play out as theater in their life. Like, for example, dogmatic beliefs that seem to suggest separation between desire and fulfillment. As we always say, desire means having. You found it in the form of desire. Now, as a result of listening exclusively to intuition and not the mental chatter that suggests otherwise, not only did I actualize the desire, but also my relationship with God, beyond theories of God, was practically actualized, more so, let's say, in the form of, we can call this divine presence or personal magnetism or true self-confidence. Why do we say this? So why do I say it this way? Is because I realize that only I can imagine what information seems to suggest to me, what people seem to suggest to me, what this world seems to suggest to me. Only I can imagine that. And before, I was identified with particular beliefs in mind. And from the faulty premise of those limiting beliefs, we could say, I was imagining that this world was appearing to be in conflict with me. And no shame, no condemnation. I simply put off those former conversations. Autosuggestions are acknowledgments of the being I am. As I mentioned, desire means having. And intuition guides me on the journey. That is my relationship with God, as Florence Scovel Shen had said. Prayer is you telephoning to God, and intuition is God telephoning to you. So I listen exclusively to my intuition, and at times I would identify with the old man thinking it was me really thinking when it's not really me thinking. It's not me really thinking, that's old man thinking. Old man thinking that seems to suggest you are not bliss, you are bliss. Inevitably you realize this. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to take anyone's word for it. Inevitably, you realize that you are bliss. The fact that you exist is bliss. Existence is bliss. You can say you are bliss for no reason at all. Yet you realize your bliss by acknowledging that what you desire is yours. And it does manifest as symbols of bliss, we could say. Symbols of love, symbols of happiness, symbols of peace, symbols of fulfillment. Everything that you desire. Everything that I have ever desired in my life, we could say, fell within those categories. Love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. And I stopped seeking for it externally because I realized, again, through Think and Grow Rich, that I can simply accept that what I desire is mine. And he gave a very simple process to do so, which is to purify the subconscious mind through autosuggestion. So I created autosuggestions. I don't use those same autosuggestions anymore because there's no need to, because the mind has been purified from the beliefs that suggest otherwise. The subconscious mind has been purified from the beliefs that suggest otherwise. And by that I mean very specifically that I am not love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. So anytime at a particular point a desire arose, I have it. Desire means I have. I could literally feel it in the moment. As soon as the desire arises, I feel fulfilled. I trust you notice this as well. I trust you realize that what you desire, you have. Or sometimes I say, desire means having. Desire means being. Desire means fulfillment. You found your fulfillment in the form of desire. Now, not only did I move up in my corporate career as one of my definite chief aims, I applied this to build my first business to success, my IT business, which I ran from 2009 to 13. Then I built 2 businesses afterwards to success. And I got to and continue to experience my fulfillment, my bliss, we could say, as outer appearances and experiences of bliss. So we could say not because of the appearances, not because of the experiences, but rather they are manifestations of my bliss. So this world is not needed to confirm the fact that I am bliss, yet it plays out to reveal my fulfillment as symbols of bliss. I can say this is bliss, that is bliss. Practically speaking, I do what I love to do. I, wherever I am, appear to enjoy what I'm doing. And I don't say one thing that I'm doing is better than another thing. For example, right now we're having this conversation. We're enjoying this conversation. I get to enjoy this conversation with you. So in other words, right now I experience bliss with you. practically speaking, while you're in flow, anandamide is released. Anandamide is a neurotransmitter named after the Sanskrit word ananda, which means bliss. It is what we can call the bliss molecule that is released where the person experientially feels bliss. Now, my view on this is that bliss actually aligns all the chakras. And isn't it wonderful that it started first with a desire to harmonize the root chakra, which we could say is a firm grounding in physical reality. And then up, we rise up. And what I find too is there's opportunity as well to, let's say, harmonize the chakras while on the way up. And then it gets to a point, let's say, where we acknowledge experientially that I am bliss. I am bliss. Everything that I ever seeked for, I am. Everything that I desired, I have. And all of these were manifestations. All of these actualized definite chief aims, we could say, were manifestations of the symbols of the being I am. And so we see the throat chakra, the ability to communicate the message harmoniously in a way that facilitates self-realization, self-actualization, and self-transcendence with, let's say, if you run a business, your team members, your vendors, your clients, your mastermind partners. Having experienced, having manifested the bliss I am in various symbols of life, I can share experiences and also visions from the third eye in relation to what we're discussing, where I can actually imagine them experiencing what they desire. I can actually imagine them experiencing what they desire. How is this helpful? Well, consider this for a moment. It is one thing, let's say I work with a client, or if I'm talking with a friend, again, this applies to all areas of life. If I try to get them to feel something, or tell them, this is what you need to do, or imagine this or that, it's one thing to do that. What I've also found to be very effective is to imagine them already being all that they desire to be. Or we could say, if I don't imagine them, if the visions don't appear of imagining them being all that they desire to be, which you could say are prophecies of God. And you and I know different. You do the same as well. You know exactly what I'm talking about. How so? Well, I trust you've experienced at times imagining, let's say, the best in another person. And then the other person says, thank you for seeing me ideally. Thank you for imagining me ideally. We could say they feel it. They feel you imagining them ideally. And what has happened is, we can say, instant acknowledgement of the fact that the bliss of experience is now. In other words, they show up. Prior to that, they seem to suggest that they had confusion in mind, challenge, didn't have clarity, etc. No shame, no condemnation. They immediately appear to be blissful. Without imagining, we could say, immediately, right away. Because existence, the fact that you exist is bliss. So if the fact that you exist is bliss, how can I imagine you not being at bliss? So that's what naturally arose. Again, going back to the earlier stages, Think and Grow Rich started the journey for me. Prior to that, I kind of understood this, yet by committing to the desire and fulfilling the desire within and manifesting the desire, and also on the journey to manifesting the desire, taking the opportunities, we could say, for mind purification, which is simply no longer identifying with old man thinking that seems to suggest you are not love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. That's illusory thinking. By simply not identifying with illusory thinking, the subconscious mind became purified. And what I found was it was, let's say, easier for me to discern, as Florence Scovel Shin had shared. Prayer is you telephoning to God. Thank you, God, for fulfilling my desire, which is the desire of God. Anything that is love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, the desires from the heart come from the source of reality and is already fulfilled for you. It's done for you by grace. We could say, for no reason at all. Not because of this or that reason. You are fulfilled. Now, what happens is intuition guides the way on the journey to actualizing the vision. So another thing that happens through mind purification is the mental chatter that arises, let's say, from the limiting beliefs as a result of simply putting off the former conversation. If the illusory thoughts appear in mind, don't identify with them. There's no need to think otherwise. You are fulfilled now. You are bliss now. There's no need to think otherwise. So what happens is you don't think otherwise anymore. Those thoughts appear in mind. They appear to disappear. They appear to disappear. And the beliefs that spawned those thoughts, we could say, are dissolved. Mind is purified. And you listen exclusively to the greatest teacher in the universe, the still small voice which guides the way. Practically speaking, in business, for example, you know what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do, what marketing strategies to roll out, your style of, let's say, innovation, sales, marketing, operations, finance, leadership. It is actually in harmony with all. Because it's in harmony, we can see. Red and blue are indigo to me, representing my relationship with God. All of this, all the chakras are aligned and are in harmony with you. If there's any kind of illusory thoughts that seems to suggest that you are not whole, complete, have everything, simply put off identifying with the old man, which is not you anyways. You are not the old man. The Bible, it refers to as the old man or the former self. You are not the former self. You are the real self. You are real. Thus, you are the real self. So I can't imagine you to not be really you, whole, complete, fulfilled. Now, all of this is me sharing my experiences. I have been applying this since 2004. Now, as mentioned, he discussed burning desire. So the burning desire, if a person, let's say, has an inharmonious relationship with desire, they equate desire to suffering. Desire means having. Desire means fulfillment. Practically speaking, in my entrepreneurial journey, and I've spoken to many artists about this, they transmute that burning desire into their artistic expression, into their music, dance, art, poetry. Entrepreneurs transmute it into creative expression. Relationships, the burning desire can be transmuted into wonderful, harmonious relationships. Wonderful, harmonious relationships that are manifestations of, let's say, different aspects of the 7 chakras. That burning desire, which travels up, may be transmuted into wonderful life experiences. So there's no need to suppress and repress and push it down. There's no need for that. So this also was a result of mind purification, because in the earlier stages, for example, I brought up sexual transmutation. The sexual energy, I thought, needed to be suppressed and repressed. Rather, it can be, as he discussed, transmuted into creative expression as well as physical outlet. I don't consider one way better than another because I removed that bias. It naturally flows accordingly. And so then it plays out as harmonious experiences in romantic relationships and also harmonious experiences in and as, let's say, the creative expression. Art, poetry, dance, innovation. I trust you know what I'm talking about here because you've experienced this. So the way we do it is when the desire arises, thank you, I have. Desire means fulfillment. And sure enough, it plays out. It plays out in creative ways, harmonious ways, as symbols of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. And let's say if there's any thought that I need to suppress, repress, hold on, feel the emotions being released and transmute the emotions into creative expression. And he uses a very precise alchemical word in the book called transmutation. So when he brought up transmutation, I applied the book. As mentioned, it works perfectly. And I then came across the Kabbalion by 3 initiates, with deepened my understanding on the word transmutation. And then I realized that desire can be transmuted. Emotions can be transmuted. As a matter of fact, we're doing it all the time. See, if a person suppresses, represses the desire or pretends like it's not there, are they really living? Are they really experiencing life fully? It's up to them. What I have found is through this journey, again, red and blue are indigo to me. And that is, we can say, a representation of my harmonious relationship with God. So, if you have a desire, whatever that desire may be, wonderful harmonious relationship, business, whatever it may be, from personal experience, when I manifested those desires, there was no suffering afterwards. Rather, reconciliation and also harmony of the 7 chakras to a higher degree. So that's what I do. And I keep doing it over the years. I always have a definite chief aim card. This one I wrote on the back of a Christmas card that was given to me by my mom and my sister. And I've always had a definite chief aim card. Every definite chief aim has been actualized, and on the journey, one could say I take the opportunities for mind purification, which again is simply putting off the former conversation that you lack what you desire. You don't lack love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. You are love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. And it's not me preaching to you. You inevitably realize this. So it's not like I'm saying here, I want you to believe what I'm saying. You are love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Force yourself to believe that. No, absolutely not. I am love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment for no reason at all. You are love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment for no reason at all. I can't imagine you otherwise. If I imagine you otherwise, that's old man thinking. That's not me really thinking. I put off that former conversation, which belongs to the old man. I don't think that way. The unreal man, which is you are real, the real self, the real you in harmony with all. So now, practically speaking, if you have something that you desire from the heart, which is again, as Florence Scovel Shin said, you telephoning to God is accepting the desire as fulfilled. This can be done through autosuggestion or simple acknowledgement. Thank you. That's it. I have. No suffering, complete fulfillment, instant fulfillment, we could say. Desire, instant fulfillment. Just like that. Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall come to pass. Then you are on the journey to actualizing. If there's mind purification opportunities, I recommend taking those mind purification opportunities. Because then you have a harmonious relationship with emotions. You have a harmonious relationship with what you desire to experience. Because desire means fulfillment. So we could say your emotions reveal your fulfillment. Your thoughts reveal your fulfillment. Your behaviors reveal your fulfillment. These are all manifestations, as I said. I don't need this world to confirm the fact that I am fulfilled. It appears as symbols of fulfillment, the thoughts of fulfillment, emotions that point to my fulfillment, the behaviors of fulfillment. As I've been saying, flow. You appear to flow. Anandamide is released. You experience bliss here, bliss there. I don't have a preference. Bliss while I'm sitting here appearing to do nothing, or bliss when I'm out and about connecting with people. I flow. We could even say, ultimately, God does everything. This is the play of God. So if you have a desire, accept it as fulfilled. Pray as though you have received, and it is yours. And you're on the journey to actualizing it. And you could say the mind purification are opportunities that present in, let's say, needing to control force, waiting, worrying about time, worrying about how it's going to happen. I am fulfilled. I am bliss. How does all? That's it. That's what you do. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. You can say, the fact that I exist is bliss. Everything I desire points to the fact that I am bliss. I find what I desire in the form of desire pointing to bliss. Every moment of each day with increasing frequency on a continuous basis, thus experiencing bliss wherever I am. Here bliss, there bliss, everywhere bliss. More so, spreading the light and manifesting as self-transcendence, experiencing bliss in harmony with all, appearing to transform all to appear blissfully wherever I am.